When did we stop doing homework?
Walk, walk in, chair straight, we don't play. Staff talk sharp like a quiz on a Monday. Whiteboard wars, yeah, we grade all day. If you can't take that heat, stay out the hallway. Hey, this is the staff room. Say it loud, say it loud. The staff room.
Let's get into it.
Welcome back to the staff room, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Dr. Matos, 16-year veteran educator and author of How School Leaders Motivate Teachers in Real Classrooms, the Practitioner's Guide. You can find it on Amazon, link below. Listen, I want you guys to leave me a comment. What do you think about homework? When did it become a practice that so many people didn't believe in? I was talking to my wife the other day and we were talking about homework. And I am one of those that believe that homework is necessary. She was one that was kind of on the fence. She's not an educator, but she does understand how homework could be something that maybe could hinder, I guess, a kid's development in terms of social development. And we kind of had a little back and forth. So I went online like I tend to do, and I was just reading around, and I found an article on the John Hopkins website about the efficacy of homework. The article is by Vicky Hallett, and she says, "Does homework still have value?" Let's see what she says, and then I'll give you what I think, and I'm curious to what you all think as well. So, the necessity of homework has been the subject of debate since at least as far back as the 1890s. Excuse me. To Joyce L. Epstein, co-director of the Center of School, Family, and Community Partnerships at Johns Hopkins University, it's always been the case that parents, kids, and sometimes teachers too wonder if this is just busy work. Well, what is it? What do we think? Me personally, I don't know if it's just busy work, but again, we'll talk about it after. So here it says, but after decades of researching how to improve schools, the professor in the Johns Hopkins School of Education remains certain that homework is essential as long as the teachers have done their homework too. Okay, so here we see that Vicky Hallett is writing that homework indeed still is effective, and she points out something that I believe is important, and that's if the teachers still do their homework too. Okay, so this I think is important, and I do want to get to that after this, but I also wanted to point out a couple of things that she mentions in her article here, and it says future teachers and administrators really have little formal training on how to design homework before they assign it. This means that most just repeat what their teachers did or they follow the textbook suggestions at the end of the units. Okay, I agree. I've seen this before. I've seen this in many instances where homework can be busy work. This is where we fall into a problem. When bad teachers use bad practices, the profession is then generalized. Okay, and then we get poor assumptions like homework is not effective. I don't believe in homework. We're going to talk about that because I feel kind of strongly about it. So later, she writes quickly, if homework assignments are always the same, 10 math problems, 6 sentences, and spelling words, homework can get boring and some kids just stop doing their assignments. To be clear, parents should never be asked to teach 7th grade science. Whew, that's huge. I was asked one time by a teacher to teach my child how to do something. She sent home a note that says, just get a whiteboard and some markers and do this, and this. That teacher did not know that I was a doctor. That teacher did not know that I was an educator. That teacher did not know that I was a leader. And I had to make it very, very, make it known quickly. No, that's your job. So let's kind of come back to it now. It seems that there is a division on what we feel about homework. Some believe that it is essential. Some believe that it's nonsense. I'll tell you what I believe. I believe anybody that thinks that practice is nonsense is an absolute fool and should have no business instructing anyone, let alone children. Anyone. Okay? Now that's the teacher's perspective. If home practice wasn't effective, why would tutoring companies be a thriving business? It just doesn't make sense. I'll tell you why. In this instance, we're not promoting homework because of lazy teachers. You don't believe in homework because you don't want to do the extra work to assure the homework is effective. But rest assured, that child needs practice work outside of the classroom. Why? Because, well, generally just to practice. But more importantly, to promote study and research behaviors. I don't get when this started happening. And especially from parents who've done homework all their life. And I'm going to just make a very, very general statement. I feel that in a lot of cases, parents don't believe in homework because they just don't feel like doing it. They're just as lazy as the teachers in this sense, right? Not all teachers are lazy. Trust me. There's some very effective homework practices. Now, parents, this one's for you because you in this case, listen, I'm going to be a straight shooter. At the staff room, I'm going to give it to you exactly how I feel. In this case, you get on my absolute nerves. You'll sit here and tell your child that they shouldn't have to do homework, but then have the audacity to send them to a football practice, a baseball practice, or a basketball practice. No, I'm not. I don't mean practice at school. I mean, you got them at a field hitting or shagging fly balls, fielding ground balls, and taking soft toss BP. And even the arts. You got people reading lines. You got artists doing 2-minute drawings. Everything in this world is based off of a research style behavioral system. Everything in this world is based off of practice. If we make it so that students start believing that they don't need to practice, that that's only supposed to be done in school, what are we teaching them later in the future? You think they're going to go to college and be successful? I promise you they're not, because they need to study in college. Again, let's put my tinfoil hat back on. I have a feeling about what's going on here and how it pertains to college. But let's stay on track. How dare you sit here and portray the idea that homework is ineffective, and you literally live the same behaviors? I will make sure that my child does homework till the day my child graduates. That's why my child will be successful. How dare us sit and complain about literacy rates when we stopped reading to our kids? And notice I say we, because I don't want to just point the finger here, right? I know I read to my kid, but we're all in it together. My job is to educate you. My job is to hold you accountable. My job is to make sure you realize that some of the things you say just don't make sense. When did we stop reading to our kids and then have the audacity to complain about literacy rates? Guys, homework is just as important as anything else in this world that is put into a place or put into a system that helps us to become successful. If you don't believe in homework, then you don't believe in any form of practice. And teachers, if you don't believe in homework, get a new job, because you're just being lazy. Thanks for coming to the staff room.
Walk in, chest scrape, we don't play.